Over the past 10 years, I have faced numerous setbacks and have faced the lowest moments in my life since I was 12 years old. And during that time, I've learned a lot what it takes to lead your best life. So here are 10 major life lessons that you can take away from this video so that you're able to lead a successful life moving forward. And by the way, I've created a 15-page worksheet that is available in the description box below for you to download and work alongside with this video. And there's no registration whatsoever. You can download it and use it immediately. Alright, let's get right into the first life lesson. I got my first brutal life lesson when I was 12 years old. And the first life lesson is a major setback is a blessing in disguise. When I was 12 years old, I was in primary school. And in primary school in Singapore, we have a national exam called the Primary School Living Examination. And usually it's taken at the last stage of primary school. Right, I was primary 6. And this is for the international audience who's watching this. That's how our education system works. When I first received my result, I did very poorly. And I wasn't shocked because I knew from the start that I wouldn't have done well because I didn't really put in the effort in doing so. And this was my first ever major setback in my life because it meant that I had few options to select the secondary school that I want. And because of the restrictions I had, I did not have the choice but to choose a neighborhood school. Actually, was a blessing in disguise because it was only a 5 minutes walking distance from my house to my secondary school. And I'm really quite thankful for it because I had more sleep, I had more time in the morning to do what I needed to do. Whenever school ended, I could go home late because it was just only 5 minutes from my secondary school back to my house, right? And it was a really blessing in disguise. And so in life, we always see setbacks in a negative light. We always tend to do that. However, if we zoom out, right, and we see it in a bird's eye view, what we realize is that there are benefits in the long term. For example, as I mentioned just now, my neighborhood school was near to my house. I was able to spend more time in school, to do the activities that I love. I loved football, so usually after school I would spend my time playing football. And I could do it. I could spend as much time as possible because it just for 5 minutes walking distance. And it was a really blessing in disguise, as I keep repeating. So whenever you face any kind of setbacks in life, be slow to judge and question and think deeply about it. So the question that you can think about that is in the worksheet is, what are the possible benefits in return do I get from this in the long term? So for example, it could be I came from a poor family, right, and I grew up without enjoying some of the privileges that some of your peers had. But because of this, you get to learn the importance of finances at an early stage, and you start to manage your own money from when you receive your first salary. So this is an example of how you can see things more positively. Now, moving on. So as I entered secondary school, I learned a few life lessons. And the second life lesson is sheer determination and willpower will lead to success. For my international audience, there were 3 forms of streaming in secondary school. So they were normal academic, normal technical, normal academic, and express stream. So for normal technical is for those who require more support and those who struggle academically in school. And for that, the express stream is the standard path for majority of the students. And I was in the normal academic stream. I was neither here or there. I was the borderline student. And I initially wanted to give up. But what made me go far and beyond was when my teacher announced during the mid-semester that I was second place in class. And that really motivated me because I never knew that I would make it this far. And I was so motivated that I told myself that by the end of the semester, I must secure being the first in class. From that moment onwards, I took the time to strategize and plan my way to ensure that I have all the content in my head way before the exam period. And by the time it was exam season, I already remembered most of the content. They were already in my head, and I just needed to briefly revise on the content that I needed to do. And finally, when the results were released, not only did I place first in class, I was first in numerous subjects, and I was first in the normal academic stream. And because of these results, I was laterally promoted to the express stream in the next academic year, which was secondary 2. And the lesson here is this: there's no such thing as overnight success. Even if you do succeed overnight, you still need to maintain in success, and you still eventually fail because you are not ready to handle the amount of success at your current stage. It is only through pure hard work and repetitions that sustain your success in the long run. Now ask yourself this question: if you were granted all the success in the world, everything that you wish for, all the fame, money, promotions, right? Ask yourself this question: would you be equipped to handle it at your current stage? If the answer is no, then it isn't the time for you to celebrate success. It's time for you to grind, hustle your way through so that you're ready to handle all the success that you have wished for. You only become better if you keep refining yourself, building yourself, and success will eventually come knocking on your door. That's how it works. And as I've progressed further in my academic studies, in my academic journey, I mix with the wrong group of people. And the next life lesson that I learned is avoid toxic people at all costs. So this started when I was 15 years old. I mingled with the group that loved to mock and make fun of others. And back then I was insecure. I had no real friends. They were the immediate group of people that interacted with me. And so I complied with whatever interactions I had with their conversations, activities. And deep within me, I knew something was off with them. But I still insisted on engaging with them because I had no one. I was insecure, I was afraid to reject them. And we did really stupid things. Eventually we got into trouble. And from then on, I stopped hanging out with them, even if when they approached me. And the lesson here is this: the moment your instincts tell you that these people that you hang out with frequently, they're not there to develop you into a better person, into another version of you that fulfill your fullest potential. It is time for you to sit down and really deeply reflect on it and think back about the activities that you have done with them, and ask yourself this: how do I feel when I do these activities with them? Do I feel genuinely good? Do I feel empowered about it? And what do the people around you say about the activities that you do? If you don't feel empowered and instead feel despised, attacked, ashamed, then it's time to leave without hesitation. And the moment you leave, see what are the responses they had towards you. Then you'll see their true colors and they'll turn their back onto you. That's how you know these people are not for you. And mixing with these toxic people have caused me to be insecure, and affected me significantly. I ended up not doing well for my other national exam, which is in secondary school. And here's the next life lesson that I want to share. Showing emotion is not a sign of weakness. So when I failed my national exam, I was 16 years old, and with this exam called the O levels, which is the O stands for ordinary level, is a Cambridge exam. And I was really distracted by these toxic people. I wasn't able to focus on my studies at all. I was always spending time with them at the wrong time, doing the wrong activities. And I knew I screwed up my national exam every single time when I left the exam hall. Then the result came, and as I looked at my teacher, I knew immediately that I didn't do well for my exams. Her look in her eyes, her face, her expression said it all. And the moment that I opened my exam results, I didn't open in the exam hall. I went to the toilet, I went in the front of the stall alone, and I just took a picture and sent it to my mom. And afterwards, I immediately went back home. I didn't cry, I didn't show any signs of emotion. I just kept it deep within me and carried on with whatever plans that I have decided on immediately when I went home. But this eventually backfired on me. There was one day I couldn't keep it in and I just broke down. Now, whenever you feel emotional about certain events, never keep it within you. They need to be let out one way or another. Be it talking to someone close or just simply cry, letting your emotions out. If not, everything that you have been keeping inside of you will eventually backfire on you, and you cannot control it. One day you will not be able to control it, and it will be a very ugly one, like I did. This is not a weakness, but it shows that you are a human being with emotions. Nobody likes someone who has no emotions. So whenever you feel emotional about certain events, ask yourself this: how can I let out these emotions that I am feeling deep inside of me? What are some ways that I can let them out in a more comfortable position? There's no single way of letting out emotions. Whatever that is comfortable to you, in letting it out is the way that you should do it. Don't follow what others do. Follow what you feel comfortable with. I managed to find a path, but I was still lost. During that period, my social circle went to zero, and I had only myself. I was alone. And the next life lesson that I want to share is Loneliness helps to discover who you are as a person. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just followed the path that was only offered to me. I had no one to discuss this with. I just did it on my own. There's a booklet that they gave us, and I just followed. I just cancelled off whatever that's I'm not eligible to enroll in. And this is mainly because a majority of people within my social circle have better results than me, and they have more options than me. They didn't know how to do with this kind of situation because they have never been there before. And now my family faces this as well. Now my siblings face this as well, and they had no recommendations. However, they were still encouraging, and I still pursued on with whatever that's available to me. At the same time, I had a very deep and raw reflection about the situation that I was in. I thought about what went wrong, how did I end up here in this circumstance, this situation. Those were the moments that I knew my boundaries, I knew my personal values that I should carry on in my life. I knew I was someone who is altruistic in nature, someone who is emotional than the rest of my peers. I began to understand myself as I reflected further and deeper, and I was able to do this when I'm alone, when I have no one besides me, when I'm just sitting down with just my thoughts. And this was the critical moment in my life, and I'm so glad that it happened because it changed the trajectory of the journey that I never knew I would go into. And I managed to find myself in the process. Whenever you are at your rock bottom or at your lowest moment and you are alone, it is in fact the best scenario. You are alone with your thoughts, with who you are as a person. You get to understand you as a person, and when you're in this situation, you should ask yourself this: what went wrong? What went wrong? And why am I in this situation? What are some areas that I could improve on so that I do not commit the same mistakes? As you think deeply into this, you'll eventually begin to find out some parts of yourself that you never knew about. In the process of finding out who I was as a person, I faced numerous challenges along the way as well. And here is the next life lesson: obstacle is a way to grow. One personal milestone that I think it was significant to me was receiving my first paycheck after my first part-time job. I was 16 then, and I found a job that was rather stressful and pressurizing. So that was my first ever experience in the real world, and I realized how brutal it was. My supervisor was really strict. There was a point that I broke down because she was scolding me in front of her staff, and I couldn't handle it, and I just let my emotion out. I was 16 then. It was the time where I was very insecure. I was still raw with the emotions that I was feeling because I had a really poor results, and it was a national exam, and I was embarrassed the moment I was crying in front of them. And growing up in an Asian household, showing emotions was a forbidden act, and I was really ashamed of showing my emotions, and I just kept it inside of me. And even till now, I still do sometimes. However, that experience gave me the exposure to become stronger and more resilient towards tough situations. There's no learning and growth being in a comfort zone, and it is really dangerous because you wouldn't know how to act and process when you are faced with challenging situation. That situation itself will break you down, and you just do not know how to bounce back up. And obstacles are there to teach us valuable lessons that are unknown to us and develop our weakest spot. And whenever you face any obstacles in life, ask yourself this: what are these challenges or obstacles preparing me for the long term? And what are some very valuable lessons that I can get out of this situation that I am in? Asking yourself these questions will prevent you from focusing on the negative aspects and provide you to see them in a different lens and perspective. As I carry out this in the next path in my life, I was lost and I couldn't see the value in anything. And the next life lesson that I want to share is feeling lost is facing the unfamiliarity in your life. I didn't know what I wanted to do in the future after receiving my O-level results, but thankfully I was studying something that was almost aligned with my personal values and character, and I believe I could do well in it. However, I was still very apprehensive about my future, and I was still feeling unfulfilled somewhere within me. I even wanted to myself, if I'm not going to do what I want to do, what other alternatives do I have? And that was thought of applying to medical school. But sadly, I was rejected twice, and I felt even lost than ever. And as per usual, my same routine, I went into deep reflections, I started to think deeper about myself, ask myself the tough questions. What are some of my core values? And what are some things that I will do over and over again without feeling bored? Something that I will do for the long term. The earlier you're lost in life, the better it is. Why? Because the unfamiliarity in your life is appearing, and it says many things about you that you don't know about. And this is a situation where you feel exposed, which is good, because as you start to open up yourself to the many possibilities in life, slowly but surely, as you start to venture out and explore the world, you'll soon find out about your strengths, and you are able to exploit it back in 2020 during the pandemic. The next life lesson that I want to share is there is only one life to live. I would say amongst all the terrible things that had happened in my life, this is the worst. The pet that I grew up with, where we shared the same food, the same activity, the same toy, is gone forever. Never will I ever see him again. Only pictures and videos of him remain. As the saying goes by one of the philosophers, I think Chinese philosophers, Confucius, we have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. The brutal truth is that your loved ones are only here temporary, so as you. They will soon pass away, and they might even do so at any moment, even right now as you are watching this video. You must learn this lesson very soon, before it gets too late. Learn to cherish those around you, and stop wasting your time on things that you can't control and not within your control, things that don't matter in the long term. Spend more time with them, so that on their last breath, you wouldn't have any regrets. So ask yourself this: who are the loved ones in my life that you haven't spent your time with for a very, very long time? And how and what can I do to bond with them? Don't just wait, just do them. Don't overthink, because it just delays everything. Not everything needs to be perfect, and imperfection itself sometimes is perfection. Perfection depends on person that you are spending the time with, not you. So just do it. And just this year, in 2025, my parents just divorced officially, and there's nothing much I can do. And the next life lesson that I want to share is this: worry less about the things that you can't control. I grew up without the presence of my father by my side, as he was overseas work for the past almost the entire year of my life, I would say. Most of the family events that my schools organized were usually attended by grandmothers, my aunt, my mother, and I never had a complete family that I always see on TV shows and dramas. However, as I grew older, I realized that there were families out there who were going through the same thing as me. And because of that, I didn't feel different, and made me feel a little less alone. I also realized that these are situations that I couldn't control in the first place. The only thing that I could do is how I should respond, and there is no point rambling about it, complaining about it, because it's not going to solve anything. And the more I understand this, the freer I become. Worrying only makes things worse, and they don't address the root problem, they don't solve anything. You are instead doing nothing, and you're doing nothing to alleviate the situation. So the next time you face circumstances that you can't control, ask yourself this: what are some areas that I could do something about in the situation that I am in to prevent it from worsening or escalating? What can I do to stop myself from worrying too much? Instead, take actions. This mindset shift will enable you to take actions rather than allowing those worries living in your head rent-free. Time is of the essence, and the outcomes all depend on your actions at the end of the day. And because I prioritize taking actions, I have decided to start this YouTube channel and to continue to inspire the younger generations to keep moving forward in life. Here is my last life lesson: embarrassment leads to success, and the past is in the past. I initially was super scared about putting my face out in the public, like right now, right here. I had completely no prior experience in creating any sort of content or video production. However, I didn't let it stop me from doing so, and I slowly experienced creating and releasing content. And initially it was faceless content, but after that there was no challenge, and there's no growth, no actual growth in that, and it wasn't really confronting my fears, and I'm still living in it. I'm still living in my fears, and so it took me 2 to 3 months for me to officially show my face onto the world, to post myself publicly. Your past self is never your full definition, your full identity for the rest of your life. Your life changes, and so should your identity. Embarrassment is the price to pay in order to be successful. You need to stop undervaluing yourself and start seeing yourself in a new image. People change, and you should too. So you should ask yourself this: what do I want to see myself to become in 5 to 10 years time, or maybe 3 years time? What are some traits and characteristics that your future self possess? And what can I do to start training myself to achieve those traits and characteristics? These questions stop you from thinking about the past and start thinking about the future. This moves you forward rather than slows you down. I hope these 10 life lessons that I share in this video will help you and carry your life forward. Do take the time to do the worksheet and replay this video as many times as you want. Please do share how this has helped you and how can I improve. If you like this video, check out my other video that is about 3 stages in unlocking a life's purpose and beyond. It's about 50 minutes long, and there's a 30 plus page workbook that comes along with it, and it's free for registration. And if you're interested to learn more about the L.I.F.E Academy, which is a long-term plan that I'm planning to build a community, do check out the description box below. And alright, see you in the academy and see you in the next video. Bye bye.